nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Wait for Victor too.
Oh, wait.
Well,
We waited for Sam, we gotta wait for Sam.
that's all right. That's fine. Want to welcome everybody to our May regular meeting of the Board of Education. I hope everybody had a nice holiday weekend and Memorial Day. Just going to wait on Mr. Manuel, and we'll get down to business.
So, how was everybody's long weekend? Good?
Other than the weather, but hopefully things start to change. Victor's just retrieving something from Mr. Grishman's office. He should be back momentarily. Thank you, Victor. I thought you were here. Okay, wonderful.
And his nickname is Candyman. Thank you.
All right, we're going to begin. I would ask everybody to please observe a moment of silence for two former faculty members, Mr. Seymour Sai Fatel, a former physical education teacher who retired here in 1994, as well as Mr. Robert Pape, sixth grade teacher who retired in 1999. If we could just observe a moment of silence for that passing. Thank you. All right. At this time, we're within the recognitions section of our agenda. Moving on to something slightly more pleasant, is recognition of tenure recipients. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Grishman.
Thank you. Actually, as we begin the recognitions, we received some notations from the New York State School Boards Association congratulating Chris Foresto on achieving the highest level of participation in board training. So with that, he gets several wonderful paper recognition certificates.
This one is for Sam.
I'm sorry, here we go.
No one talks about it.
And which includes one free complimentary training session, which I'm sure you will use next year. And I'm sure you have none of these at home, a notepad.
Thank you.
In addition, recognitions to Sam Perlman and Jennifer Vargnoff for their participation in school board training. Congratulations. I'm sure, as many of you know, the regulations, commissioners' regulations around school board members and the regulations that they operate under are continually changing. And the requirements that are placed on board members in terms of staying abreast with, again, current commissioner regulation, education law, changes and is quite complex. And our school board historically has been on top of attending all training sessions to stay abreast on what's taking place. And we congratulate all of our board members for their years of continually going through school board training through the New York State School Boards Association. So congratulations to all of our board members. I'd like to start off with our recognitions by introducing Chad Gleason.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to speak here tonight on behalf of our outstanding middle school assistant principal, Sarah Ballou. Sarah is a true... Sarah is is a true instructional leader committed to student growth, staff development, and building a positive school culture. One of the ways she's done that is through leadership of our Nest period, where she's helped transform our advisory into a powerful space for connection building and for community building. She's also the architect behind our master schedule and the coordination of all middle school testing, work that requires not just logistical precision, but a deep understanding of how to balance the needs of students, teachers, and programs. She brings thoughtfulness, professionalism, and has a steady hand with all that she takes on. I've mentioned instructional leadership and scheduling and testing, but I haven't yet touched upon safety, student discipline, state reporting, building supervision, grade reporting, room utilization, or the dozens of other areas in which Sarah has a leading role. But being the sole assistant principal in a middle school of 838 students requires an extraordinary ability to balance competing demands with precision and grace. It's a role that asks you to be everywhere at once, know what's around the corner, and I can say that because I've done it. I know the rewards and challenges that come with the job, and Sarah does it better than anyone I've ever seen. I know that she will continue to take great care and have a relentless focus on what's best for students, as she always does. What truly sets Sarah apart, though, is her understanding of middle school kids. Adolescence is a really interesting time in a kid's life. At the very moment when students need the support of parents and mentors and teachers the most, they have this really strong desire for independence. And sometimes that's expressed with oh, you're so annoying, or a slam blocker. But Sarah gets that. She has the experience and heart to always lead with kindness. She knows how to support her Jayhawks through it all, and she always inspires them to do their personal best. In the spirit of transparency, I am also up for tenure tonight. Sarah's been a constant support, source of support, not only for our students, but also for me. I couldn't be more proud to be recognized for that honor alongside her tonight. So it is my pleasure to recommend Sarah Balut for tenure this evening with my strongest possible recommendation.
To join us up front, please. Lower the microphone.
Tonight, I have the privilege of recognizing someone who's not only become an exceptional leader in our school, but also a friend, Dr. Michaela Finley, as she's granted tenure as assistant principal at Jericho High School. Before coming to Jericho, Michaela spent 9 years in the Commonwealth School District, where she began her career as a special education E&L teacher. She later served as a literacy specialist and then as an assistant director of People Personnel Services. That range of experience and her deep care for students became eminently clear when she joined us 4 years ago as a curriculum associate for secondary PPS. After just 1 year, she was named an assistant principal at high school, a role she has truly flourished. And I had the great fortune of working closely with Michaela first as a fellow curriculum associate and then as assistant principals together. She's someone I rely on, learn from, and trust completely, as does everyone in our school. Her insight, her tenacity, her elegant toughness, and her ability to handle even the most complex situations with clarity and care have been invaluable. When I started thinking about what to say tonight, a few words came to mind. When you think of Michaela, you quickly realize she is meticulous, always thinking ahead and ensuring every detail is handled. She's tireless, showing up at every event, always supporting students and staff. Brilliant, able to approach challenges with a clear mind and a full heart, and above all, genuinely kind. Someone who builds relationships that last. Beyond her role here, Michaela is a proud and devoted aunt, a cherished member of a wonderful family with many friends, as we see here tonight. She brings a quiet strength and grace to everything that she does, a combination that makes her not just a strong administrator, but a loved presence in our school. Michaela, I'm proud to call you my colleague, our partner in this work, and my friend. Congratulations on this well-earned milestone. You make Jericho a better place every single day. We're so lucky to have you, and congratulations on being granted tenure tonight.
Celebrations have the honor to talk briefly, which is not my strength, about Chad Gleason. We tonight will honor Chad with an appointment to tenure. Before coming to Jericho, Chad taught at the School of the Future. Foreshadow? Yes. We stole him from White Plains as a middle school principal in White Plains in 2018. And after his stellar job as being an assistant principal in our middle school, it was a no-brainer for us to very quickly promote him to become principal of the Jericho Middle School in July of 2022. He's an incredible instructional leader. He deals with strength, conviction, and always with a commitment on what's in the best interest of students. Chad always leads with warmth, sincerity, compassion. A gentle giant? Yes. Chad always takes great pride in constantly and regularly celebrating his students and celebrating his incredible middle school staff. Under his leadership, Jericho Middle School continues to be rated as the very best middle school on Long Island, and in some cases has been rated the #1 middle school in the state of New York. We can clap at that. Jericho Middle School is always on the top of the list on schools to watch, and his support and encouragement for National History Day brings our middle school students to the forefront of local competition, National History Day, state recognition, as well as national recognition. So with that brief statement, I congratulate Chad on being a great Jericho family member, and we recognize you this evening with granting you tenure.
And with that, it is great pleasure that I present Schedule J, ID 15174, Administrator Tenure Appointment. Do I have a motion? Second? Discussion? All in favor? So carried. Congratulations, everybody. Tremendous milestone in your careers, and I have full faith that you will continue the just outstanding work that you've done with our children. So thank you again. Moving along, Mr. Grishman, I believe you have a recommendation on an appointment of high school co-principal.
I am more than thrilled to recommend to the board the appointment of high school co-principal Brian Cummings. As all of you know, Brian has been in this district, I think, as long as I have been in this district. He has earned tenure in more areas than I think there are written in the books. Brian started out a beloved teacher of math, science, worked his way through curriculum associate, high school assistant principal, and I could not be more proud of the work that Brian has done, the support that he has given to so many kids over so many years, and it's, again, my extreme pleasure to recommend Brian Cummings to the position of high school co-principal.
Thank you, Mr. Grishman. And with that, I present Schedule G, Probationary Administrator Appointment, ID 15213, to the board. Do I have a motion? Jill, second. Kivia, discussion?
I think Mr. Manuel had a letter to be read on this topic, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Dear members of the Board of Education, Mr. Grishman, Mr. Manuel, Dr. Sherman, Mr. Cohen, and Mrs. Nash. This is from Robin Mermelstein. On behalf of a group of Jericho parents, please find the attached letter expressing our strong support for the appointment of Mr. Brian Cummings as the permanent co-principal of Jericho High School. As parents of students in Jericho School District, we have witnessed firsthand Mr. Cummings' exceptional leadership, dedication, and positive impact on our students and the school community. His commitment to academic excellence, student well-being, and the cultivation of a welcoming and inclusive environment has been truly invaluable. We believe that appointing Mr. Cummings to this role permanently will provide much-needed continuity and steady leadership as the district transitions under the guidance of a new superintendent. We hope you will take our perspective into consideration as you make this important decision, and we thank you for your continued dedication to the success of our schools and students.
Yeah, my concern with this proposition has nothing to do with co-principal Brian Cummings. Mr. Cummings has been an outstanding administrator, teacher, coach, advisor, and mentor in this district for decades. My concern has everything to do with the timing of this proposition for Mr. Grishman and the lack of customary process followed by Mr. Grishman. In 30-something days, for the first time in 30 years, we will have a new superintendent, Dr. Robert Kravitz. Dr. Kravitz has the full confidence of this board. His appointment and contract received unanimous approval. In 33 days, he will be responsible for directing this district. He will receive some credit for any future success, and he will receive all the blame for any failure. The high school principal is one of the most important appointments. It is integral to the future success of the Jericho School District. The importance of a constructive relationship between principal and superintendent cannot be overstated. Consequently, it is Dr. Kravitz who should be making this proposition to the board after thoughtful and thorough evaluation. It should not be Mr. Grishman as he walks out, because he prepares to walk out the door in 1 month. I cannot agree or object to Mr. Cummings' appointment to this position, as I do not have pretty much relevant information to make an educated decision. The dearth of information includes a well-informed opinion from our new superintendent. I've made my feelings on this topic known to the people at this table. However, if a majority of my fellow board members, including retiring trustee Dr. Foresto, believe that this appointment must be made this evening, be assured that I will give 100% effort to ensure the success of Mr. Cummings as co-principal of the high school and the success of Jericho High School.
Thank you for your comments, Sam. One thing I will say before Mr. Grishman speaks is I'm not going to speak for Dr. Kravitz, who couldn't be with us this evening. But Dr. Kravitz has been on campus for several days, has had the opportunity to meet with a number of individuals, administrators, building leaders, as well as Mr. Cummings. That being said, I'll let Mr. Grishman speak to that. One thing I will say is that, we, over the last several years, there's been a kind of a resounding call for community input into board decisions, and that's something that I take very seriously. We talk about transparency, we talk about community input, and I think this decision in particular has really met with both of those standards. We've received tons of community input supporting Mr. Cummings in this position. Mr. Cummings is a loyal, long-standing member of the Jericho community. He has put his heart and soul into this school district. The children of our school district have spoken loud and clear, so I wholeheartedly support this, but I'll turn the microphone over to Mr. Grishman.
Thank you, Chris. I just would like to state, and again, reiterate some of Chris's comments. We have had universal support starting from this winter from students, staff, and parents commenting on the outstanding job that Brian is doing in the high school. Similar comments in terms of the strength of the administrative team in the high school and how smoothly the high school has been operating this year. We feel, administration feels strongly that for the sake of the students and staff of the high school, that the sooner there was a permanent appointment for the high school principal, the better that would be for all who live and reside in the high school. I've had 2 lengthy conversations with Dr. Kravitz and have specifically asked him outright as early as, I think, March of this past spring. How do you feel about appointing, at this point, Brian to the position? And he said, I strongly support your recommendation. The timing is better now than it might be over the summer. So in 2 conversations I've had with the incoming superintendent, who I am most eager to welcome, but in 2 occasions, he reiterated and supported the administrative recommendation to appoint Brian at our earliest possible time. So appointing Brian, again, works in terms of administrative recommendation and in the incoming superintendent's recommendation as well.
And just one other thing I want to touch upon, and we did talk about community input. And the community input into this conversation has been from all facets of the community. And I mentioned this earlier, we've heard from the students, we've heard from the parents, we've heard from central office, we've heard from Mr. Cummings' colleagues, we've heard from everybody. So we're not going into this lightly. This is something that we have been considering for months, but we've been taking this slowly to make sure that we're making the right decision. And I'll speak for myself in saying that I am 100% confident that Mr. Cummings is the right person for this position. And I know he's going to go forward leading this high school to even greater places than we've ever been. With that, do I have a motion on the schedule?
We're done.
So,
That's why we're discussing.
yeah, and we're at the discussion, and we'll move to the vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Mr. Cummings. Wonderful. And lastly, within recognitions is recognition of school board representative. Mr. Max Sharp. Max, you've just been a tremendous board representative. You have been a integral part in a number of decisions that we've made, specifically your research and surveys into your classmates, their feelings on several board policies, the feedback of how potential board policies would impact life as a Jericho student was really instrumental in helping us shape a number of policies, specifically the cell phone policy, which we'll talk more about at some point. But just
Not till the summer.
not till the summer. But just your intellect, your professionalism. You are a young man well beyond your years, and I know you're going to go to great places. So I just want to, on behalf of the entire Board of Education, want to say thank you and congratulations on your upcoming graduation, heading off to college, and we only wish you the best. They are good. They are good.
I'm sure. Thank you so much.
So this afternoon, I just received the high school diplomas, and the superintendent of schools is one of the signatories on the high school diplomas. Max, I don't know how to tell you this, but I ripped your diploma. It's an XO one and all.
Max, did you want to, you had a few words? Please.
Said it. Rise a little bit. Firstly, thank you so much. Those words really mean so much. It's been an incredible experience. and I really, truly appreciate that. So this time I don't have any more surveys or presentations, sorry to disappoint, but I'd like to talk about something. So one of the most rewarding aspects of my experience as Board of Education representative has truly been the relationships I've been able to build this year. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank some incredible people that I've had the privilege of working with. So firstly, thank you so much to the board for this opportunity and for the true value that you place on student input. It's been really apparent tonight and throughout this whole year, and I appreciate that. Thank you to my advisors, Ms. Schmidt and Ms. Kahn, and thank you so much to the amazing high school administration, Mr. Cummings, Dr. Finley, and Mr. Mebs, who we've heard so many great things about tonight. Thank you as well to Mr. Grishman and the assistant superintendents down in the central office, and thank you to Ms. Nash, who I don't think is here tonight, for always keeping me in the loop and taking me out of the board meetings. I appreciate all that. So with that being said, I'm very excited to pass the torch on to the incoming board representative, Cynthia Tian. So please stand up. Cynthia. As many of you know, the state of New York recently passed a law requiring school districts to have a student representative on their board. So of course, Jericho has been ahead of that curve for quite a while now, but that also means that Cynthia will be able to sit up on that amazing dais every meeting with her own nameplate, which I'm a little jealous about, but I know she's excited about that. I've known Cynthia for years. She's an incredibly hard worker and amazing debater, and I'm more than confident that she will excel in this role, even with the extra meeting requirements. So congratulations, Cynthia, and thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Max. Again, we wish you all the best in college, and please don't be a stranger, come back and visit.
Of course, thank you.
All right, with that, we're going to move into recommended actions. Approval of minutes. Recommended motion, be it resolved that the Board of Education make any necessary corrections and move the approval of the minutes of the BOCES budget meeting dated April 23rd, 2025, and the regular meeting dated April 24th, 2025, the executive session dated 5/8/25, and 5/20/25, annual election budget vote. Do I have a motion on the minutes? Jen, second. Divya, discussion? All in favor? Divya? Oh, okay, so carried, thank you.
Okay, what was that, the 521? That was the election?
5/20, annual election budget vote, yeah. Okay, we'll move into reports discussion. We'll start with middle school student council, Angel Shah.
Good evening. My name is Angel Shah. I'm an 8th grade student council representative. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. There has been so much going on in the middle school these past few weeks. The high school JMAC students facilitated a mental health presentation with SAD Club members and Brave Ambassadors this week. It was a huge success. The 8th grade New York State math assessments were on May 6th and 7th, and the 8th grade science exams were on May 13th. Thank you to Ms. Kriegstein, Ms. Lambertini, and the math and science teachers for your hard work and dedication in preparing our students. The Chinese classes visited the Taiwan Center in Flushing, Queens today. The Italian classes went to Little Italy on Tuesday, and the French classes went to Kerber Farms to learn how to prepare and bake crepes. It sounds like a great time. The 6th grade classes are preparing for a mini Olympics scheduled for Monday, June 2nd. Good luck to all. The 6th, 7th, and 8th grade ambassadors did an amazing job welcoming our incoming 6th graders on May 14th, 21st, and 28th. The students had the opportunity to visit our 6th grade classrooms as they prepare for their exciting transition this fall. Recently, 4 JMS students participated in the Long Island Cup, a local chess competition at Jackson Elementary School. The event was hosted by Chess Sanity and Long Island Chess. Now, I would like to end this evening's report by taking a moment to congratulate Mr. Gleason on being awarded tenure as principal of Jericho Middle School, and Ms. Ballou being awarded tenure as assistant principal of Jericho Middle School. On behalf of the student body, we would like to express our senior gratitude for your leadership, dedication, and unwavering commitment to your students. You inspire us by fostering a positive learning environment. We are grateful for your positive impacts. You are a great team, and even better, role models. But you're also pretty cool too. Fun facts about Mr. Gleason and Miss Balut. Did you know that Mr. Gleason is a wilderness first responder, a certified rescue scuba diver who captained a 36-foot sailboat on a 4,000-mile expedition through the Caribbean for 1 year? Wow, that's a lot. Yes, it's true. And this gets even better. We also learned that Miss Balut lived in the Caribbean for a few years. And when Miss Balut studied at the University of Pittsburgh, she had a semester at sea. Miss Balut traveled the world from the Pacific to the Atlantic to places such as Cuba, Brazil, China, Hong Kong, Japan, Vietnam, and more. There were 2 ships that may have passed in the night, only to find their way home to Jericho. So, to our captain and co-captain of Jericho Middle School, please continue to guide us in our journey. Well, that's
All right, at this time, I'd like to move on to the high school student council, Rachel Lee, and possibly Caitlin Troy State University.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Lee, Student Council Co-President, and I'm so excited to be here tonight to share some of the amazing things that have been happening at our school this past month. On April 29th, both our middle school and high school orchestras came together for a beautiful concert. And on May 2nd, Student Council brought smiles and caffeine to our amazing staff with the Teacher Appreciation Breakfast Cart. We had juice, muffins, and other baked goods. From May 5th to 16th, AP exams were taken, and just when we thought everything was over, AP Psych was moved to May 28th, proving that psychology really does like to mess with our minds. And now for some seriously amazing news, our blood drive on May 21st collected 68 pints. That's a lot of potential lives saved, and a lot of students who are braver than I am around needles. And we also held our Senior Safe Prom Assembly, helping seniors get ready for the big night on June 26th. So yes, the promposals have officially begun. And now into sports. Jericho made history. Both girls and boys badminton teams won the Long Island Championships, and the first time a single school has won both. And the boys team earned their 68th straight win, which, fun fact, matches our blood drive total. And in golf, Brian Zhao is headed to the state championship. Congrats, Brian. In the arts, it's time for choreo, which is actually happening in the auditorium right now. And this year's theme is icons, and the tickets are now on sale. And as we look ahead, we've got more exciting events coming up. On June 2nd, our talented musicians will take the stage for the band concert. And then on June 3rd, we'll be celebrating our incredible student athletes at the athletic awards ceremony. From game-winning goals to record-breaking serves, it's time to cheer them on one more time. And on June 4th, seniors are ready to relax and have some fun at the senior party. Finally, an event required no studying. And on June 9th, we'll recognize all their hard work and accomplishments of our graduating class at the Senior Awards Night ceremony, a night full of pride, applause, and probably a few happy tears. And on June 16th marks the last day of classes. And finally, I would like to congratulate Dr. Finley and Mr. Cummings on their tenure. Thank you for all your hard work. So whether it's on stage, on the court, or in the classroom, there's something happening every single day, and we're loving every minute of it. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good night.
Wonderful, thank you. We'll move on to PTA Council for teaching.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Grishman, Board of Ed members, Central Administration, faculty, staff, and community members. My name is Pradeepi Goenka, and I'm the Vice President of the Joint PTA Council, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight. First off, wanted to express a sincere congratulations to 3 special individuals who have been honored tonight. On behalf of PTA Council, congrats to Dr. Finlay, Ms. Balut, and Mr. Gleason on receiving tenure tonight. Jericho and our kids are so lucky to have you, and we appreciate all of your hard work and your dedication to our children. The PTA Council was grateful to have the opportunity to meet with Mr. Greg Sloan on Monday, May 12th. Mr. Sloan shared insights into the impressive 2025 college admissions outcomes for our Jericho kids. What an accomplished group. He also highlighted for us the many ways that Jericho continues to support student success, including the college boot camp held each August, the numerous college rep visits to our school, and a strong focus on ensuring every student receives the guidance that they need. As the school year winds down, our PTA units are busier than ever. Jackson PTA recently hosted a successful plant sale and a book fair, and thanks to the extra change they collected, they were able to donate 1 book to every classroom at Jackson. We're now gearing up for field day and ice cream treats tomorrow on May 30th, if the weather holds up. At Cantiac, the students raised over $700 for All Abilities Month to benefit NSASA. Their incredible staff appreciation week concluded with an Alice in Wonderland themed food truck celebration. And they hosted a career day panel where parents shared insights about their professions, including astrophysics, career research, cancer research, financial planning, and more. At Jeffrey Ratner Robert Seaman, students enjoyed a special Mother's Day gift sale during lunch, giving them a chance to pick out thoughtful items to celebrate the mom and mom figures in their life. A highlight of the school year is the annual visit from Holocaust survivor Marianne Lazon every May, who shares her powerful and inspiring story with the 5th grade students. Thank you to all of the elementary schools who hosted their reunions this week. We know all the high school students graduating had a blast visiting their teachers and taking one last walk down their favorite hallways. At the middle school, 8th grade lawn signs were distributed, and if you didn't get a chance to pick yours up, you can do so by the foyer in the entrance. And the PTA wrapped up the year with a successful final spring sale. At the high school, PTA is in full swing preparing for the much anticipated senior party on June 4th. The school came together to celebrate seniors with a spirited Commitment Day bake sale on May 1st. Raffles for prime seating at graduation is underway, and senior lawn signs will be distributed soon with the support of the JTA. SEPTA is proud to share that over $4,000 was raised in support of All Abilities Month. Their final meeting of the school year will take place on May 30th, tomorrow, at 9:30 a.m. here in the middle school library, featuring a special presentation on preventing the summer slide with guest speakers Debbie Wanderman and Maricha Christopherson. And finally, one of the best nights of the year, they invite the community to join them for their recognition and scholarships evening on June 10th at 7 p.m. in the middle school library. Thank you to everyone and have a good night.
Thank you, Patici. At this time, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Mr. Cohen for his report. Sure, absolutely. Turn it over to Ms. Britt. Superintendent.
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity. Wanted to spend a minute introducing the staff members who will be appointed this evening as joining the Jericho staff in the 25-26 school year. When I call your name, please stand. Again, we want to welcome you. We look forward to you joining our staff in August. Some of you actually are already here, but again, if you're with us this evening, please stand up. Laura Simon, Anna Jensen, Jesse Natali, Alyssa Bibiato, Hannah Martin, Samantha Bush, Jacob Geiser, Samantha Toriello, James Weggy, Louis Cooper, Molly Murphy. Agenda so that for those of you who are up and out early tomorrow morning, you can say goodnight to us all. And thank you all for being here this evening.
Welcome, thank you. Thank you. We're moving into Mr. Christian's superintendent.
I believe everybody's probably going to Corio. So our enrollment report, our enrollment as of May the 23rd was 3,333. That's an increase of 9 students over our previous report in April. I'd like to take this opportunity firstly to congratulate our community on a budget pass of almost 82%. The strong support that our district receives, that our students receive every year, is a real credit to the support from our school community for the incredible job that our entire school community appreciates and our school staff delivers. So again, a sincere thank you on my behalf of the board, for that strong endorsement for the work of our school district. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Kenny Jin, who's with us this evening as a newly elected member of our Board of Education, and he will be joining us officially on July 1st. Congratulations and welcome, Kenny. We look forward to you joining us. Thank you. Additionally, I wanted to share with our board and with the community that Robert Kravitz was with us all day Tuesday and all day Wednesday, meeting with literally, I think, just about everyone in the school district through the day. He met with student council, he met with CSEA, he met with teachers, he met with administrators, he met with central office. He had an opportunity to tour all of the buildings. And again, we'll have an opportunity to hear what his reaction was, but I will tell you that he was in awe of our school district. He couldn't stop complimenting, oh my goodness, I can't believe how incredible the school district is. What I'm seeing in classrooms, teacher engagement, what I'm seeing in terms of looking at our school classrooms, our school hallways, they sparkle. It's almost the end of the school year, and how many schools can show off their facilities with sparkling hallways, flowers in front of buildings. He literally, toward the end, when the central office met with him at the very end, basically the whole conversation we had with him was, I can't believe what I've seen in the last 2 days. The warm welcome that I've received from everyone I've met, and what I've actually observed. So again, I think, sharing from what he said, it was a wonderful visit, a visit that had him smiling for 2 days straight. I will also share with you that the feedback that we've received from everyone who spent time with Robert was extremely, extremely positive. We look forward to welcoming him on several additional days between now and June 30, and we all look forward to welcoming him here officially on July 1st. I'm sure that he will be a successful superintendent and will meet all of our expectations for fulfilling that role. As we heard in our student reports, this is a very special time of the year where we spend much time celebrating students, celebrating staff. And again, I look forward to all of the celebrations, the concerts that will take place, as well as the celebrations moving up to our elementary graduations, moving up, our middle school moving up. And again, I think the highlight for me of the year will be our high school graduation at the end of June. So again, stay tuned for lots of celebrations and lots of good news through the end of the year. Victor, I know that you had mentioned something about the barbecue.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I believe next Wednesday is the date where Aramark in the high school, we're going to be doing our hopefully first annual barbecue in the courtyard for the students. Students may still choose to get their lunches as they typically do inside the cafeteria, but we're adding this option to see how it works. We figured something new, different, and exciting. There'll be barbecue and burgers, hot dogs, chicken.
Wednesday the 4th.
Wednesday the 4th, rain date the 5th.
Only the high school, you said?
Only the high school, correct? So, just wanted to mention that. We're going to look at the weather early next week and then ask Mr. Cummings to send out a communication to the kids.
I don't remember, it was last month or 2 months ago, we talked about vaping, and we talked about how we keep the bathroom doors open, and sure, I guess the word is, it doesn't really prevent anything. And you were gonna go back and talk with building management about the prospect of potentially giving our kids, students, some privacy and close the bathroom doors like they used to do.
We're still in conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we're gonna do chronic absenteeism as a separate item, right? Thank you.
Well, you're up, sir.
I don't know if you guys want to stay. Yeah, I know I shared it with you already, so if you have it, it's the same thing, but I'll speak to you again. Good evening, everyone. So I know that recently Newsday published an article highlighting chronic absenteeism rates throughout Long Island. And based on that article, there were some questions that came up about our data and requests to have a presentation. So I had a chance to work with the building principals and to accumulate some data, not only about the specifics of chronic absenteeism, but also some of the trends that we've seen in the last 3 years, as well as some of the steps that are taken in each of the schools to address the concerns and the issues. So to back up a little bit, first and foremost, chronic absenteeism by definition is the percent of students that are absent for 10% or more of the total school days in a given year. And to give a little bit of history, during the pandemic, obviously, attendance was a bit of a nebulous thing. We had some, online classes. We then had a hybrid model. And what we found typically was coming out of that was that absenteeism was thrown at a bit of a haywire pace. And certainly our first focus coming out of the pandemic was focusing on student health and well-being from a variety of standpoints, as well as making sure that we were educating them as comprehensively as possible. So I think appropriately so, we're looking at a 3-year history here, because if we even went back further, obviously during the pandemic, we would probably see some absenteeism rates that would be even more concerning than some of the data that we're seeing here. And obviously, it was a bit of a new trend. I think the data speaks for itself, but just to highlight a few things, obviously 22-23, we see a high watermark in terms of some of the greatest concerns with chronic absenteeism rate. Overall for a district, it was 12% at that time. At the high school where we saw some of the biggest impact of that, it was at 17%. And then each year we've seen those numbers starting to come down. And this year, to date, when we ran this report, roughly at the beginning of the month of May, we looked at chronic absenteeism rate for the district as a whole, just under 10%, in the high school, a reduction from the 17 from 2 years ago down to the 13%. So we asked each of our principals to do some data analysis. I've done a brief summary here based on what the principals have reported. In the elementary schools, we were looking at what we tended to think were the major causes for the chronic absenteeism. So at the elementary school, certainly illness and a variety of medical needs that came up was primary as the number one reason. But we also saw that family travel certainly presented itself as a challenge, especially at the elementary levels, where some of that chronic absenteeism might be families that were either extending breaks, starting the school year a bit late, or even taking some time off throughout the year. We've also seen housing status and PPS considerations as things that come up. Housing status can be everything from issues that families may be having with their home, temporary moves to take care of issues, as well as some of our families in district that may have some housing concerns, and hence the reason why they're placed here. PPS considerations, sometimes when we're dealing with some of our students with special needs, there may be things that actually impact their attendance on a regular basis as well. And then in the elementary schools, one of the things that came up, not incredibly frequently, but it was a factor, was some of our students that were starting to show some extracurricular commitments. So that might be some specialty areas in music or athletics, where students were having some absenteeism throughout the year that can put them into this category. At the middle school, there was a focus on trying to track how many of those students were annual. In other words, it was carrying forward year to year. It was reported that there's a small cohort of students that struggle with chronic attendance challenges throughout their entire middle school career. The students in the middle school who missed most days and fell into this category, typically it was based on long-term medical issues, both physical and emotional, and that at the middle school they certainly have put in an added focus in recent years on making sure that there's supports in place for students, but also they did identify that there were some students that were traveling abroad to visit relatives in other countries, and that was part of the issues that they faced. At the high school, the data analysis that they did was a bit of a deeper dive. And in this slide, what you'll see is they actually broke it down into 3 categories. In the most extreme case over on the right, they highlighted students that were absent for over 20% of total days in a given school year. Then they looked at over 15%, and then finally the threshold of over 10% that falls into chronic absenteeism.
Mr. Cohn, what's the denominator for the high school?
In terms of how many total students?
How many total days? The denominator?
Total days is again roughly 186 days that we have.
No, with the 186, you have the 2 superintendent days, you're down to 184, but I thought the high school ends earlier than the elementary school.
So in the high school, Regents days count as attendance if you have, so those days actually filter forward. So really it's the same denominator for all of our schools.
So then is the numerator for the high school going to be suppressed because, like, you have a week worth of
If you have a day where you don't have a Regents exam, you have no exams, then you automatically default as present.
Oh, okay, got it, thank you.
So in the most extreme cases, in 22-23, we see that the high school had 46 students that were chronically absent over 20% of the time. In a short 2-year turnaround, that number this year was down to 20. Again, not suggesting that 20 is the right number, but obviously we see the trend. And we'll talk a little bit about what's been going on in each of the schools to try to adjust these numbers. Similarly, 15% in 22-23 was at 91 students, and this year it's down to 49. And then for the 10% category, there were 220 students that fell within that threshold in 22-23, and this year it was down to 172. When there was a deeper dive, in fact I want to go back to this slide, you'll see that just from a grade standpoint, significantly higher numbers at the senior level. So there definitely seems to be a bit of senioritis that's driving these numbers. Over 50% of the total number of chronic absenteeism is falling within the senior year. In addition, factors that impact this are chronic physical and emotional medical needs as the next highlighted area. Again, PPS considerations, housing status certainly impacts this. Family dynamics that could result in unexcused absences and school refusal is a factor that's been a consideration. The high school definitely has seen attendance issues leading up to AP exams with students that are taking extra time to study for their exams. Again, at the high school, we excuse them on days of their exam. We don't excuse them leading up to. Sometimes students choose to take those days to study for their AP exams. Family travel, I would say, based on what I heard from the principal, is not as significant an issue at the high school, but still it does occur. And certainly the extracurricular commitments, probably this becomes a bigger factor in the high school than in other places where we have some students that have truly specialized experiences outside of our school experience that causes them to miss some time.
I was gonna give you the out that I think our demographics mean we have a lot more family travel, but you're saying that's really not the issue. So all those other issues would affect basically every other district on Long Island, and some of the family dynamic, the PPS, the housing, that seems like it would affect other districts more than it would affect us. And yet our numbers are meaningfully higher than, other than Roslyn and Locust Valley, we were sort of the highest in this general area. So can we come up with anything that we can attribute to other than a lot of senior days?
I mean, again, I think the senior numbers jump out as tremendous. So, you know, as I share with you, we see the trend is coming down. What I can attribute to in terms of comparative analysis to other districts, we didn't do a dive into reaching out to other districts to try to figure out why here and what the numbers are there. So I don't have an answer on that specifically. When it comes to steps to address chronic absenteeism, I think it's a lot of similar steps in each of the schools. Certainly there's been an added focus in the last 3 years on not only doing deeper dives into what the data is showing, but also trying to get ahead of when students are starting to show negative patterns, reaching out to parents. There's an increased level of notification in all of our schools in terms of when students meet certain thresholds. All of the principals reported greater levels of outreach from their offices as well when students are surpassing those levels, and even calling parents in for meetings. I think that's probably most significant at the high school level. There's a series of things that have been put in place in the last few years at the high school that has been everything from indications to families as well as indications to the guidance counselors and psychologists and social workers when students meet certain thresholds. And I know at the high school there's also been a pattern of calling in parents to meet with not only administration and counselors, but also teachers, certainly in classes where the attendance rates are exceeding certain thresholds. And obviously each of the principals talked about continuing doing deeper dives and looking at their process to try to move these numbers in better directions.
What's the data methodology? Like, are you looking at a kid being absent the whole day or a class?
So it's a good question. So I'd say that becomes probably most significant at the high school. So there are formulas basically that looks at how many periods they need to miss in a given day in order to be counted as absent from a state standpoint. I don't have that number directly in front of me right now. It doesn't mean that they necessarily were absent for the entire day. So it's possible that a student is meeting some chronic absenteeism numbers. They're actually showing up for some of their day, but not enough of it from the state standpoint to be counted as present for the day.
It's pretty much if they're out at least half a day or more, they're considered absent.
Okay.
Like if they miss 2 or 3 classes, they'd be considered late, not absent. But if you miss, I think it's 5 to 9 periods, you're considered absent from the day.
Yeah, because and you know, we've dealt with, so I've talked to both Dr. Finley and Cummings about this, but I'm curious if it's a systematic issue, because like parents see something different, and I don't know if, did Dr. Finley leave or is she?
She's outside with her family.
Yeah, it's okay. We see something different, and the triggers and alerts are very confusing, like kids walking in the hall or marked absent. So not that I'm questioning the data, I am curious, like how you guys see the data versus how parents see the data. Because I've had, with my junior, I've had this issue, and thankfully Dr. Finley and Delamore have been tremendous. I question the data. So,
Okay.
and I say this because I think Power School's data is just very flawed in terms of what we see. You guys see, I think you guys have a dashboard, we don't. And the cumulative number is very confusing.
Okay. I appreciate that input. And obviously, you know,
I
that's
suspect, if we had a student absent at the very beginning of the day, we reach out to you guys because if we haven't heard from you, it's a safety concern. So what we always do is you get an email on cut classes or any missed classes. Very often they're not missed classes, they may be excused.
Yeah.
And then we work really tirelessly to make sure that data is accurate. Then the data that we looked at would be looking back after all those corrections are made. But yeah, we reach out a lot
Yeah.
to ensure, if we don't know who your child is, you don't know who your child is, then we have to figure something out.
Yeah, no, totally, no complaints there, I've dealt with it, so thank
Yeah.
you, but, I think I would love if, I guess at some point Dr. Finley can validate, but I think we don't see what you guys see.
Okay.
So that's just my only question, is I think Power School data is flawed, and then we're getting parent square notifications now in terms of absentee, and even today, I think, or the other day, I had a trigger of an absentee, and I'm like sitting there looking at Find My iPhone, I'm like, I dropped my kid off, I know she's there.
Right.
So I question the data, that's all I'm saying.
We can certainly look into
Not
it.
what you're reporting.
I appreciate it.
Dave, I have a question regarding your data. Where do you get those data from?
So the data that we're presenting is based on Power School. So Power School is our warehouse of our, in this case, attendance data. So it's based on, the teachers enter the data in.
Including the nurses or?
The teachers are the ones that are taking attendance. The nurses are ones that can be accounting for some of the descriptors. So if there is a medical note or something like that, they might be able to add additional information, but the teachers are the ones that are actually taking the daily attendance, or at the high school level, the period attendance.
Yeah, when the teachers enter into the system, do they enter the reason of the absence?
No.
If they, can they enter the reason of the absence, so that when you have the data, you do the data analysis, you would know what's the root cause of those. So you can figure out the breakdowns.
So two things. The teacher's responsibility in the room is to merely take attendance, present or absent. So I think your question about the nurse is a good one. So there are other mechanisms that the school has in place. So for instance, all the schools ask parents to call if your child is going to be absent to give a reason, in which case those reasons can be entered into our system. But the purity of absent or present is, and when a teacher is taking attendance, is just based on whether the student is physically in front of them.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is not trying to question your data.
Mhm.
What we're trying to say is that if we have more data, we can figure out the root cause, correct? Right? If you have the breakdown in percentage of the factors, you will be able to figure out what's the root cause of those.
So when we ask the principals to do a data analysis and they're telling us some of these resulting reasons, it's based on them having the information that you're referring to.
Yeah, I think that's most important. Like, if the student becomes the illness, that would be common for all the students in the Long Island, correct? If that's caused by something else, we need to consider that caused by, such as environment of the school, of the classmates, or something like that.
Okay.
So we can have the root cause in the future, like the path forward to solve those issues. My point is how to solve the issues. Yeah.
Did we?
Do you have information available about pre-pandemic numbers for
I-
the district as a whole?
We didn't, I don't have that now, and we didn't do that as an analysis.
Back towards that number, or if it's like, if it's comparable now to what it was pre-pandemic?
On paper.
I don't have that right now.
Last
Yes,
question.
Sure.
Doing it in my head.
Okay.
Basically, the reason we're so much higher than most of the other districts on Long Island, setting aside Roslyn and Locust Valley, is basically our senior class and some of our elementary schools.
I think at the high school, senior class is a big part of it. And again, I understand what you picked up on. There is definitely a lot of travel that goes on with our families and our students. I think given some of the rigors at the high school, it may not be quite as extensive as we might see at the middle school and the elementary school, but it's certainly a factor.
Our middle school numbers are great. So middle school in Jackson are great, Seaman and Cantiago are half, and
Right.
then high school is mostly, as you said, senior class.
I mean, the numbers show it. I mean, when we look at that data, it's over 50% of that data is solely in the senior year.
Mr. Cohen.
Hi.
Thanks for this information. It's very interesting. Thank you. And I agree with you with all those reasons that you have for high school. I wanted to add one more reason. Having two seniors, I can tell you, a lot of it is college visits. And I'm going to tell you, and Sam, I'm surprised you didn't say this yet.
I'm not helping him out.
You just keep talking. So I thought you would say this. So,
I asked the questions.
okay, Sam. So I just want to say that these are unexcused absences This is unexcused, because the college visit is excused, so is this is unexcused absences?
These are any absences.
Any absence, okay, so let's just
You only
think
get
about
two
this for a
excused
sec.
college visits.
Okay, it's my turn, it's my turn, yeah.
No, it's fine.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, for example, right, so these kids, a lot of kids apply early to schools. You have to go see all the schools you're gonna apply early to, like, you can't apply early somewhere without seeing it, right? So they have to see all those schools. The tours are during the week, you can't go on the weekend, they don't, like, you can't go. Then you don't get into your early acceptance school, you have to go see the schools that you got into to know where to pick. The kids, it's a very big deal here where you're going to college, so I know from experience from 2 kids, seniors, added to that list is probably college visits, I would say. And then you have like the siblings who go with you because you're not gonna go with your older kid and not bring your little kid, because that's a waste of time to now go twice when that kid, so now I think that could be added to the list, probably for
18 days,
seniors.
18 days out of school, it's a lot of days.
They have to go to college, they have to tour, and you have to go a day, then you have to get there for the next day for the tour, I mean, like, it's added to the list.
I'm gonna add something else to this. I don't totally agree with Sherry's premonition that you have to go and your kids have to go. But clearly, I would think college visits is a big chunk. I think extracurricular is a big chunk. I think family travel is a big chunk. Attendance leading up to AP is gonna be a big chunk for juniors and seniors. I don't think there's anything in the world that you could do to get rid of those absentee days. I think that's just what high school is, and with families, and again, if you go back to the elementary schools, if you count the number of, days before holidays, when there's a Monday holiday and people have taken an extra day on a Friday or a Tuesday, you're not gonna rid yourself of those. I do think that items 2, 3, and 4 are the things that we should be concentrating on as a district in terms of special ed, mental health, family dynamics. Like the rest of it, I think it's not gonna change. That's not gonna change. People go to see colleges. Kids play tennis. They go to extracurricular things. That's not gonna change it. That's never gonna change. But you could have, again, a handful of kids, that are chronically absent for 2, 3, and 4. And I really think that should be the focus of trying to fix. And I'll just go back to when my kids were in school. I have a dear friend who lived in this community who had a daughter that she literally couldn't get out of bed for 1.5 years to come to school. Literally, the kid was suffering. And again, here it is now, 17 years later. She's married, she's got a career, she's a mother of 4. And I would say that this district, they got her through that. She went to college, and all of a sudden, what happened here helped her succeed. The other stuff is it's miscellaneous
I
stuff.
appreciate you saying that. I can tell you just from speaking to the principals and also obviously from serving as a principal here in this district, the amount of home visits that we do, the work that we do with families. I mean, the data isn't going to speak at all about the endless conversations that are happening on a daily and a weekly basis about every one of these students. I can tell you that the principals know intimately the students that are showing up on these lists and where there are deeper issues that need to be addressed, and whether it's our partnership with Northwell Health, and quite frankly, even working with some more extensive programs to get students the help that they need. There's phenomenal work that goes on, but again, I was asked to present on absenteeism. Obviously, it's an ongoing concern, and things that we always looking to get better.
Just one last thing, certainly at the lower levels, parents post-pandemic are keeping their kids at home a little more often when they're ill. Before, you had a cold, I gotta go to work, I gotta do this, they're going to school. Today, there's clearly a...
But here's the thing, the reason this was, I think some people did. The reason this was brought up as a topic was because Jericho's numbers were so much higher than most other districts on Long Island. Like, people keeping their kids home, yeah, I assume we're doing that at the same rate as others. Maybe not, because some of the parents aren't able to stay home with their kids as much as Jericho parents are. And so I'm just trying to focus on, are there things here, or is there, because there may be some inherent difference between us and all these other districts where our numbers are gonna be higher, and so be it, there's nothing we can do about it, but if there isn't something we can do, please, Mr. Hurd, Dr. Hurd.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I've been teaching seniors since 1993. It's the first year I'm not. Senior attendance has always been volatile. It's the nature of it. Students have always been involved in going and visiting colleges, in the fall, and going to visit college later on, and then you have the intensity of the APs. I can tell you, as someone who's taught 10th grade the last 15 years, up against the 12th grade, 10th grade attendance is very good, senior attendance is poor. And that, like I said, has been the case since I've been here since 1993.
Is that in other school districts, or is that a Jericho phenomenon?
It was, I can tell you when I was in Hampton Bays, it was, Hampton Bays was not the dramatically, intensely focused school of education that Jericho was. And you have the paradox of our great success simultaneously leads to diminishment in senior year attendance.
Thank you.
State data.
I just want to thank my colleagues, principals who presented information, so I appreciate it. Teacher, did you want to say something?
No, I actually was just going to bring up, I think it's an appropriate focus on those numbers 2, 3, and 4, but I also wonder if the latter half, which included sort of the family travel and some of those other factors, if there, at what point, again, only having middle school and elementary school kids, do we as the parents get told, okay, you're at these number of days of absence, which I'm doing the math in my head and kind of think, okay, 10%, 15%, and I think some of it's just setting expectations for families. I think there's a sort of a different experience of the benefit of travel, family time, experiential opportunities that bring communities together versus, of course, attendance in school, and clearly that dynamic changes as they progress from a grade standpoint, but I'm just wondering if some of those latter pieces with that, like, what is the family communication and setting expectations piece? And then I was gonna also just bring up, I think those first 3 that you mentioned are very important and leaning into the mental health services.
I think right now our work has been really at the grassroots level, working with the individual families and, at the older levels with the students themselves. But we're going to keep that in. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move into opportunity for the public to be heard. Please note, if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question, please tell us your name and affiliation if you are representing a specific group. If you would like your statement to be included in our board minutes, you must hand in a written copy of your remarks to our district clerk, Victor Manuel, immediately before speaking. As always, public discussion on matters relating to staff and students at which their reputation, privacy, or right to due process or those of others could in some way be violated is prohibited. We did have one letter that we read. Yeah, that's fine. Just
people in person, there were 2 additional communications that requested to be read.
Would anybody like to speak?
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Is policy 7300 going to first reading today?
It will, yes.
Okay, can I say something then?
Sure.
Sorry. So, you need me to state the name?
We know you're, but yeah, just for people who may not understand.
Sorry, Sam Barini, 4 girls in the district. So I had sent the board an email about this policy 7300, but I wish I could have asked Max Sharp, I believe, if he was asked about this policy, because I know with the cell phone policy, he was involved in surveys and data and a ton of other stuff. And I know multiple board members were very keen on getting data and input from the student body. And we're talking maybe a paragraph policy that exploded into something larger, but there was, I think Dr. Hartnett, others did surveys, teachers, etc. We're talking about like a 60-page policy now, and I don't know if anybody's actually read this policy. It's utter insanity, no disrespect.
I think, not to cut you off, but I think the discussion's going to be rather short with respect to that.
That's fine, I just want, so, and one of the biggest concerns I have is there was a section in there related to AI, and specifically it said inappropriate use of ChatGPT or other artificial intelligence. I just want to make this clear because I think a lot of people are seeing it now. The world is changing, right in front of us. Like, jobs aren't there, careers aren't what they used to be, computer science isn't computer science anymore.
Our kids are going into this world. My junior's going in 2 years, kids graduating this year going into what they thought is computer sciences. I hope and pray this board and the admin wakes up and realizes that these policies are gonna hurt the kids. So the policy was, in my opinion, insane. It's too long. If anything, we can slice and dice individual policies within the board manual, but a 50, 60-page policy is overburdening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have one question. I think if we can have a few comments by Ivy to talk about Earth Science Regions coming up. I know that there's a lot of concern regarding the curriculum and the region, well, not the curriculum, but the regions, being that it's a first year we're giving regions. I myself, being an 8th grade parent, have concern. I've spoken to you about it, so maybe you can just let the public know.
The new Earth and Space Science Regions is based on the new next-gen science standards. Our group of students who are taking this Regions this year have only been taught utilizing the next-gen standards. So if we know they're prepared, we've been doing it for years. We're testing them on what they were taught, not on what they weren't taught. So even though the old Regents is a Common Core-based Regents, our kids were not taught science in middle school based on the Common Core standards. So we're testing them on what they were taught, based on the standards that they were taught with.
So we shouldn't be concerned too much?
No, I think we're prepared. We've been prepared for years, actually. We've had resources out there. Our very own Kim Libertini has been training science directors all over Nassau County on the inquiries and investigations involved with the new next-gen standards, and I think we're going to be just fine.
Have we received any information at all as far as the examples of questions or anything?
No, we don't have any. We don't have any hard data based on the new exam. We haven't seen it. The kids certainly haven't seen it, and we're waiting. We don't know what the state is going to do with the results as far as curves. It depends on the results. So.
But historically, with curves, with first year, I guess, test types, are the curves usually greater?
They tend to be a little bit. It's an unknown test, unknown questioning, unknown structure. So it tends to be a little bit higher, and our kids are going to be just fine. We know they are.
If we would have waited till next year to participate in, and I understand the kids have been learning this, but if we would have waited, because and I don't want to use the word pilot, but if we would have said, well, we're going to wait 1 year, there's no guarantee that the kids would have had an extra year of this year's Regions to take
Correct.
practice Regions.
We're not even sure that Regents would have been released. So no guarantee, because it is a brand new test. And I would say more than half the state is taking the test now, but with the reason we agreed to move forward is because we're ready. We know we're ready. So I think our kids are going to do just fine.
Thank you. All right. Victor, you had 2 letters?
Yes. 2 letters, both by Sambarini. First one, dear all, the Jericho Joint Council of PTAs is once again violating New York state law and binding court precedent by using school-affiliated platforms to urge a yes vote in the upcoming school budget and proposition election. This is not neutral civic information. It is explicit political advocacy carried out under the banner and authority of Jericho Public Schools. Let's be absolutely clear. This behavior is illegal under Phillips versus Maurer, the controlling decision from the New York Court of Appeals. It is also a violation of Article 8, Section 1 of the New York State Constitution, which prohibits school-related entities from using public sources such as branding, perception, and communication platforms to influence the outcome of a vote. The post from the Jericho PTA Council was disseminated through a network of school-branded Instagram accounts. These accounts name every school building, tag official PTA units, and issue a direct call to action, vote yes. That is not education, that is express advocacy, and it is unlawful, full stop. And the second one It has been several days since I raised the issue of unlawful political advocacy by the Jericho Joint Council of PTAs. The lack of any public correction, response, or removal of the material is not neutral. It is deliberate choice, and at this point, it signals complicity. Silence in the face of clear violations is participation. I also have it on good authority that district officials were directly involved in coordinating the PTA's newspaper advertisement, urging a yes vote. That ad was labeled paid for by Jericho PTAs and appeared in a local publication as part of a formal paid media campaign. If true, this coordination, public employees with a nonprofit to influence a ballot measure is a violation of both ethics and law. To be clear, the actions taken by the PTA and potentially the district violate multiple layers of governance and regulation. Violations of New York State PTA standard bylaws. Article 2, PTA units may not attempt to influence legislation which includes school district propositions and budget votes. Article 7, executive board duties. The PTA board must ensure that the association complies with all legal and policy obligations. Allowing or directing advocacy breaches that duty. Article 10, fiscal management expenditures must be properly authorized and documented. No public vote or documentation has been produced to support this ad purchase. Article 11, transparency. Bylaws and officer lists must be accessible to the membership. Jericho PTSA has published neither. Violation of Chancellor's Regulation A660 used statewide as a governance model. Section 1B, PTA activity must focus on educational support. Political or legislative activities is expressly prohibited. Section 1D, PTAs may not use school-affiliated platforms or implied school authority to advocate. The Instagram accounts used include school names and branding. Section 2A, each PTA must maintain and make public its bylaws and officer contact information. This has not occurred here. Section 4B, all financial transactions must be transparent and board approved. There was no documentation that the ad expenditure was properly authorized. Violations of law and precedent, Phillips versus Moorer. The New York Court of Appeals prohibits school-affiliated entities from using any public resource to influence a voting outcome. New York State Constitution, Article 8, Section 1, public funds and affiliated resources cannot be used for political purposes. IRS 501c3 restrictions. Nonprofits may not engage in any political advertising or expenditure to influence legislation or ballot propositions. Despite these clear standards, the district has taken no corrective action. The PTA has published no bylaws. No contact information exists. No officer list is available, yet it continues to function as a political mouthpiece tied directly to school branding and perception. At this point, I have submitted a complaint to the Nassau Region PTA and am finalizing a federal IRS form 13909 filing. I have also begun preparing FOIA requests to uncover the extent of district coordination in these activities. If district personnel played any role in facilitating this advertisement or related advocacy, the matter moves from PTA noncompliance to district misconduct. I strongly recommend the board and district leadership take immediate steps to investigate and publicly correct this behavior. I expect the board to take this matter seriously and provide a clear public response. I only have one, but okay. Well, I'll read this one first and then use before we go. This one is from Sherilyn Weiss to the board. Newsday reported the wrong result of the election. When Denise Nash, the communications and PR director, was questioned about this on a group email I was CC'd on, this was her email response in part when asked about the incorrect report and request to issue a retraction apology. I reported the correct information to Newsday after the election last night. I alerted them to the mistake when it was brought to my attention today. I did not make a mistake. If you would like Newsday to issue an apology to Kenny, please reach out to Newsday and ask. I don't have that authority. Isn't that Denise's job? How does she not have that authority? To make sure information is reported accurately, and if not, request a correction. is made and a retraction apology be made. She should want Jericho to be represented accurately, and by her job title, I believe it should be required in every way.
I will comment that, to my knowledge, a correction did appear in Newsday.
Whose instigation?
I believe it Denise's.
Okay, so she wrote that and she did that. Okay, good.
Yes, I know Denise contacted Newsday for a correction.
Okay.
It appears correct on Newsday Online, because I double checked it.
Yeah. This is from Alessandra Greco. Good evening. Given that Newsday incorrectly reported Jennifer Kami as the winner of the 2025 Board of Education election, would the district or board leadership consider sending out the customary community-wide email announcing the official results? We were glad to see that as of yesterday afternoon, the accurate results are now posted on the district's homepage. This is especially important given that Kenny Jin, a writing candidate, earned a seat on the board, a meaningful result that deserves clear public recognition. Thank you for your time, your service, and your attention to this matter.
Did we usually send that?
I was just gonna ask, is it customary for us to send emails announcing results of the vote?
I believe we just added, it's in the board notes, it's in the minutes, obviously. It's on tonight's agenda, the full item, because it's the first meeting since, but you approved it that night. And we put it on the website immediately. It was on under the budget vote announcements. When you clicked on that, the first thing that appeared the day after were the results.
No, it was at the bottom. It was somewhere, people were probably looking for it. It was
It's
at
just
the bottom.
hard
There's a tab. You have to click to it. That's why I said email.
No, it was under announcements. Which announcements is always at the
But
bottom.
in front of it, there was a tab for the election that stayed up for a week, where you clicked on that, it was all about how to vote.
Right.
So that's where people were going to, they didn't realize you have to go down to, whatever. We will make sure it's much clearer next year. And
Okay,
maybe
but I don't think in the past an email communication.
I don't remember, so that's why.
Did we not live stream the May 20th?
We did.
We did,
was.
okay.
And I believe then we received an email saying the live stream wasn't available on our
I
website.
think after the fact, there was some technical issue, but I know for a fact, we live streamed from the auditorium that night where we congratulated Kenny and announced him the winner. So just so it's clear, the Newsday issue was an oversight by Newsday. We reported the correct results.
100% correct.
Okay. All right, wonderful.
So, just two things. One,
the election a year away, hopefully we'll remember in 12 months that we hopefully will discuss sending out an email. We'll do that for the April agenda of next year. Two, with regards to Mr. Iranian's emails, is that something you can respond to now, Mr. Goodstead? Is that something you need to research and can respond to next month? What is the way through this?
I can respond. First off, the Jericho PTA is not affiliated with the Jericho School District. With regards to Phillips v. Maurer, that does speak to the fact that school districts cannot expend money towards budget elections and board candidates. When it comes to Article 8, Section 1, that also applies to school districts only, not PTAs. With regards to IRS 501c3 regulations, PTAs and other IRS 501c3s can support a specific position in a budget. They cannot support specific people running for the board. With regards to PTA bylaws, I have no idea. I don't represent PTAs. I have no idea what the PTA bylaws say, and nor am I going to look at them. And then with regards to the chancellor regulations, that applies to New York City only and has no bearing on Jericho School District.
And then to ask the follow-up, which I'm sure will come in a subsequent email, how do you differentiate between what is and is not a school, I don't know if the word is affiliate or part of it, given that they have space on our district website, given that they predominantly use district assets, they use district property for their events, and they have have access to district classrooms and things like that. How is that differentiation made between what's school affiliated and what's not school affiliated?
Well, it depends on, well, again, school affiliated is not a term used in the case law. That's
what's the term, sorry?
School districts. School districts cannot expend money. So again, PTAs do events on school district property. I agree with that. But when it comes to the payment for ads and payment for stuff like that, they're the ones approving that. It comes out of their budget line. I don't represent PTAs. I'm not going to defend PTA. I'm just speaking as I defend school districts. That's my role. And And with regards to that, just the fact that they have events on school property, so do a lot of organizations, but you're not responsible for them and whatever they do. So the fact of the matter is, that just because the PTA does events on property, whatever the PTA does with their own money is theirs. So it doesn't matter that they have events on school property, it's how do they fund. But again, I don't represent the PTA, so.
Can I ask a follow-up? Sorry.
No,
it's fine, I understand, I just wanna make a point. The PTA utilizes the Jericho logos and purports to be the Jericho PTSA, right? And in terms of the actual account name, the colors, the logo, and everything. If you go on, and this is not specific to any of the elementary school ones, because all those pages are available. If you go to the high school one, the page is blank, we don't know who the officers are. I'm a member of the PTA, but I've received no communication, no vote occurred to say, can we use this? And the post wasn't educational. It wasn't vote for this and here's what's happening. It was vote for this as if it's endorsed by the district. It just, for me, do you guys want random accounts popping up with the district logo across other ballot measures and for or against? Like, that's what doesn't make sense to me, why there's like this cloak of secrecy, an anonymous Gmail account, you don't know who you're talking to, like, just make it, who is the PTA?
You're absolutely right, because when I used the school logo for concerned Jericho parents, I got an injunction letter from our attorney Chris Powers many years ago.
So that's all I'm asking is I'm not trying to be combative,
I'm
but
just saying.
I'm right here.
We're
the PTA.
But I don't know who you are. I'm supposed
You
to know
don't know
who
me.
you are. How do I find out
So
who
many
you are?
people in this room know me.
But
you know
I
what?
don't.
Hi, Sam. Hi.
This should
Hi, I'm
probably be
Sherry
discussed at a
Weingarten.
PTA meeting, in all honesty. I
It's
just,
in the
I don't
calendar.
wanna, I don't wanna get into this now, Sam, I totally,
No, but it's other.
No, I'm sorry. The other
You're
Sam.
advocating for a ballot measure. Did a vote occur to spend that money on the paper?
Sam.
I'm asking a question. Can PTA answer?
It's in the calendar. Do you get the district
Did
calendar?
a vote
You have
occur?
4 kids, so do you
Did
get
a
the
vote
calendar?
occur for you guys to spend that money for the ad? It's a simple question, yes or no?
That ad, I don't know. I'm just
Sherry,
asking
Sam,
who I
I'm
am.
gonna just politely,
Check the
can we please
calendar.
take
That's
this
who I
to?
am.
If you were not discussing it right now.
Put the officer names on the website.
It's in
They're
the
on
calendar.
the calendar.
You get the calendar. You have 4
All right,
kids.
please, ladies and gentlemen,
Paper calendar of officer names.
please,
Yes,
this is not something that's gonna take place at a board
I
meeting.
think this is an important discussion. The question is, when is the appropriate time for the
Not
discussion?
here,
So when should it
at a
happen?
PTA meeting.
At a PTA meeting?
So there's no oversight by the board in terms of what the PTA does?
Sam, to tell you the truth,
He's saying there are legal questions between the.
but Steve is not gonna opine on them. I don't know if the PTA has.
Chris, but there are cases, and there are commissioners' decisions on the, no. There are cases, and there are
Eric, please,
commissioners'
let us
decisions
speak.
on the use of district resources, including logos.
All right.
Including logos.
So-
Steve would be well aware of that. I wouldn't get into.
That's a different conversation, and I think it's more than we wanna get into
Posts aren't
today.
educate, Chris, the posts
It's not a
are not
PTA.
educational. They're saying, I have no problem with the ballot measure. I'm just saying, if you're the PTA, stay neutral and educate the community on what's being voted on. Saying vote this is against, like, literally, you can find the rules. It's not me making it up.
I'm not saying you are.
It's just absurd that, like, the PTA hides and hides and hides, and it's like, make your names available online where the information is. You can't see bylaws, you can't see votes, and to tell me to go to Instagram and look at meetings or read a calendar, a paper calendar, then why are we using Parent Square?
Sam, they can't stop the PTA.
It's not.
Well, that's
The PTA
in part my
is
point.
with them. You need to speak with them.
I just want to address one thing, this idea of a cloak of secrecy. There are myriad PTA meetings at every level in every building. There is no secrecy. The individuals running those
Who are the
meetings are
officers
there.
of the
I'm
main
speaking.
PTA?
I'm speaking.
Who are the officers?
If you came to a meeting or looked at the calendar, you would know there are some available at the website. You also have access to all of your PTA information through the PTA-sponsored GiveBacks app. So
I'm
that's the
on it, there's no
website. If
information
you are a
on it.
paid PTA
I'm
member,
paid, there's no
then
information
we will
on
be
it.
happy to auto-populate which PTA you're part of.
Whatever the main one is.
There is
My
no main
compla-
PTA, so
my
you can let us
the-
know what PTA you're part of.
The main account, I'm not talking about the
I'm
elementary
simply
school
saying
ones,
the
Jericho
idea-
High School
Let me finish what
PTA.
I'm saying,
That's
is
what I'm
that
talking
cloak
about.
of secrecy is an inaccurate statement statement
It's
when there are many of us still here right now who are there spending time facilitating meetings, conversations. There is an opportunity to get to know us. If you don't get to know us and don't come, it's inappropriate to use terms that are completely
Did you
irrelevant.
hold a vote for the expenditure for
We
the
will
ad?
discuss that. I'm not in the position at this moment to.
Sam,
I know there are bylaws, there are minutes, and all of them are available.
Pritici, if I may, I appreciate the spirited conversation. You know, with respect to where the district stands on this, we're totally separate from the PTAs. With respect to use of district resources, I'm sure the board's gonna take a look at that. I do appreciate you.
You're using the name, logo, and everything.
But what I will say is I would, prompt for a change in venue. And I think this would be best addressed at a PTA meeting, so I'm gonna move on if that's okay. All right, do we have any other communications, Victor?
No, that's it.
All right, let's move on to new business. Authorization to execute agreement with Scope to 2025-2026 school year. Recommended motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Education authorizes the board president to execute the license agreement for the 2025-2026 school year by and between the Jericho Union Free School District and Scope as shown in the attached. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion second, Jen. All right, we have discussion?
Yes, Mr. Superintendent, are we still a member of the Board of Directors of the Scope organization?
The Jericho School District is a member of Scope. Our superintendent has been on the executive committee for 20 years. I've also been in the role of president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. I am no longer an officer, but I am on the board of directors for Scope.
And do you envision being on the Board of Directors post June 30th?
I plan on not being on the Scope, and I would like to clarify that I received no remuneration for being any part of
I was
Scope.
gonna help you clarify that, that was the next
I
question.
knew you were gonna ask that, that's why I wanted to clarify before you asked.
We're getting good at this after 4 years, we got it down.
No, I know the allegations that you make, I just want to be clear.
Allegation, well, you see, that's the wrong word. And then finally, you would classify this as an arm's length contract.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We receive services for our kids, as does probably in excess of 75% of the school districts in both Nassau and Suffolk County.
And we appreciate Scope doing this for the after-school program, and we appreciate their other contract for the pre-K. So that's all I'm saying.
Do we have a vote? All in favor? So carried. Thank you. Acceptance of first reading policy 7300. District Code of Character, Conduct, and Support. Recommended motion. Be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the first reading of the following policy. District Code of Character, Conduct, and Support. Do we have a motion?
No.
We're gonna do the motion and then
No motion.
Steve, what's the best way to?
I verify with Steve. Steve, your recommendation was to vote it down, correct?
So do we make the
So we make the motion and then vote it down.
What does
Don't make the motion, he's saying no.
No, you're saying don't make the motion?
No, and then what you're supposed to.
And then vote it down.
Okay, fine.
What does that accomplish?
Right.
it down.
Because if we
Otherwise-
want to table it.
If we table it, then we have to bring it up the next one.
So we can just scrap it.
We still want a couple of policies.
Yeah, but we're not saying this.
That's an aspirational
Fair enough.
thing for the future. All right, so we have the motion, second? Divya, discussion, so I think I don't want to speak for everybody, but I get a sense that the consensus is to scrap this policy and build one that's a little more straightforward from the ground.
We don't want to say that to Mr. Coe, we're gonna.
Well, we
We're gonna
appreciate his efforts, but I think we're gonna move in another direction.
It's not you, it's me.
All in favor?
No.
No?
Oh, it's scrap. I thought, okay.
We don't have that motion.
Okay, you're right.
All right. Opposed?
Opposed.
All right, so unanimously opposed, correct. Does not pass. All right, authorization for board president to execute MOU, Allied Universal Security. Recommended motion be resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the president of the board to execute a memorandum of understanding by and between the Jericho Union Free School District and Allied Universal Security Systems as shown in the attached. Do I have a motion? Jen, second, Sam, discussion?
There was nothing material changing here other than the taking out of Julius as a now becoming a full-time employee here, so it's just that's the only difference.
And I'm not on their board of directors.
Perhaps you should be, you'll have free time.
In July, I may be.
And Julius is exceptional, we all love Julius. All right, do we have a vote? Do we have a vote? All in favor?
because, you know, the.
Unanimously carried, thank you.
Everyone who wants to give Julie a standing ovation.
Yeah, Julius is outstanding. Acceptance of donation. No, no caveats. Always. Recommended motion, be it resolved that the Board of Education accept a donation from the JEF in the amount of $2,500, along with the Yearbook Club in the amount of $2,000 each, to be used toward the purchase of Jericho flags to be hung on our light post throughout the campus.
Wait,
Oh, what-
I don't understand what that means.
What, there's a total of 4,500, it's two gifts, in aggregate 4,500. Be it further resolved, yeah, be it further resolved that the district increased budget code A 2855-501, 900000 in the amount of $4,500 for this purpose.
Can we just take out the word each?
First and foremost, the board and district is always extremely thankful for these generous gifts. They're always put to good use, so we do truly appreciate it. Thank you for your generosity. Do we have a motion? Second, Jill? Discussion?
So I just have a question, so how much is each flag? And how many are we putting up?
I don't have the answer for that.
We don't have the quote yet.
Oh, okay.
I think it's about 71 flags
72,
that are
no?
going to hang on all the different light posts all around this campus.
How many, I'm sorry, I missed.
I think it's 71 light posts.
Oh,
Yeah, it's, the best way to describe it is, in all our college visits, you may have seen in different colleges on light posts, like advertising the schools. So it'll be a lot of Jericho, School of Excellence, Jayhawk stuff around the district.
No,
ribbons.
it's gonna be really classy.
Yeah, it'll look great.
Absolutely, beautiful. All in favor?
Yes, oh, and the kids are gonna help design them.
Yep.
The kids were gonna help
Even
design
better,
them.
so we'll
Yes.
have
Yeah.
the input from the
Yeah,
students.
it's gonna be
Wonderful.
amazing.
All right, so all in favor? Unanimously carried. Thank you again for the generous gift.
And conversations originally started with shared decision making.
All right, now we're gonna move on to approval of schedules. There's a number of them. There's gonna be Schedule G 15213 as well as Schedules 15175 through U 378.
And we need to make sure that we add.
I took care of that.
Okay, great.
Yep. Do we have a motion on the schedule? Second? Divya, discussion? Sam?
You can go to someone else first.
You're always the first one to pick up the microphone, so.
I just get ready. Capital markets and the 10 notes agreements. Generally the same as last year, same law firm, same agreements. It seemed like, did we do 15 million last year in this part? I didn't go back and look at that.
It's, the resolution was not to exceed 15 million. I think we ended up with 13. That's what we
came
ended.
pretty close last year.
Yeah.
And we're confident that's enough room.
Yeah.
We talked about that. I'm good.
All right.
I like to express once again my dissatisfaction that we have to use TANs.
I agree with you 100%.
All right. So,
And actually, I do want to congratulate the superintendent on schedule 15194. Thank you for your hard, dedicated work over the last 30 years.
Thank you, Jen.
all right. Wonderful. So we just need a vote on the schedules. All in favor? All right, unanimously carried. Wonderful. So with that, before we close, I just want to congratulate our tenure recipients, as well as Mr. Cummings on his new appointment as high school co-principal. Congratulations again. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Have a good night, everybody. Please get home safe.